Welcome to Under the Stack. Today I'm joined by Yuriy from Flagship Advisory. Yuriy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Victor. More than happy to dive in.
Absolutely. For those people that don't know you, why should people listen to you, or why retailers should listen to you? What do you got to say?
Fair question. So Flagship Advisory Partners is a consultancy and M&A advisory firm that specializes exclusively in payments and fintech space. And we provide services and support merchants, payment providers, and card networks across, frankly, the entire ecosystem. We certainly have quite a bit of an intelligence to offer here. I believe the key themes that we will cover will orient towards the pain points that many of the retailers and other merchant groups are experiencing today, and more than happy to delve into that theme.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to the conversation. And talking about pain points, why is the omnichannel orchestration still such a major pain point for large retailers?
Fair question. It is an unfortunate reality that many of the really large multinational retailers with complex infrastructures tend to have highly fragmented payment stacks. It is a legacy issue that hasn't truly resolved itself, even in 2026. The primary aspects or the drivers of this complexity come with a number of elements that many of these retailers are experiencing. So many of them have multinational structures where individual countries will make their own decisions when it comes to using specific vendors. They obviously go through an M&A phase where they inherit payment providers and the payment tech stacks that they ultimately have to integrate into a broader system. And then, of course, it's probably one of the bigger issues that we are seeing retailers experience is the new use cases. These are traditional retailers now needing to offer EV charging, or they need to encompass the entire loyalty programs across the different aspects where their end users are paying. So whether it's driving up to a fuel station and filling up your car, paying for a car wash, getting something at a convenience store, all of this could have very fragmented structures with different payment providers and different experiences.
And what tends to break first when systems are too fragmented?
We've had a number of discussions with large retailers when it comes to, the most kind of painful outcomes or the key victims to fragmented payments infrastructure. And what we heard is that these are the top three tend to be oriented around the customer payment experience, which is very dear to many of the big retailers. It's also resilience of the payments infrastructure, especially for those payment providers that only use one vendor and they're experiencing downtime or other technical incidents. It becomes a major concern for really big retailers that do millions of pounds of turnover in any given day. And probably the last victim of this payments infrastructure, fragmented payment infrastructure, is reconciliation. Merchants wanting to have a single technical stack and single data and reporting stack where they can monitor the ultimate outcomes and the performance of their business and payments of that business as well. So yeah, like those are certainly the biggest pain points that merchants tell us they're experiencing. To give you a specific example of aspects like reconciliation solutions, we recently worked with a large sporting goods company. This is a $16 billion company operating across UK and Europe, and their issues with reconciliation and refunding, due to the fact that their payments infrastructure was so fragmented, caused a lot of manual work. So they had an example of an end user buying a product with a combination of loyalty points, a gift card, and then the remainder being paid by their traditional cards, and then they returned the product. And reversing that transaction became a nightmare. It was purely manual work for one customer out of likely millions that are visiting that store. So that's one of the probably more extreme examples of what fragmented payments infrastructure can cause for a large omni-channel retailer.
Sure. We've obviously talked about the complexity, different use cases, different payment methods, loyalty, cash, card. I can imagine that's definitely creating a lot of problems. So what do the most complex merchant environments teach us about the future of retail payments, especially across in-store, app, loyalty, and alternative payment methods?
The infrastructure or payments ecosystem within large, complex retailers tends to be grounded into three key themes. So one being customer payment experience. So there, the token or customer identity is the key element that many of the retailers are now seeking. To give you a specific example, we've worked with a large Nordic retailer and actually a fuel station network where they had a combination of different use cases, from purchasing fuel to convenience store to using self-checkout kiosks or charging your car at an EV charging station nearby. All of that had to be not only uniform, but had to follow the same loyalty structure. So there was a loyalty program that was attached in every single one of those payment experiences. So that's an example of where a retailer was seeking out a uniform experience for their end user, and ultimately combined a capability of loyalty, customer identity, and payments product. So that's probably, so customer experience and following the customer token or customer payment identity is the number one priority that has become, that's what is, would you say, a futuristic view today, although that's already happening as we speak.
Sure.
Resilience as ultimate design has become also a requirement for many large retailers. It's an aspect that many of the merchants don't always experience until there is that incident, until that downtime that their payment providers are causing for a number of reasons. And then that prompts that discussion and thought process as to what their payments infrastructure should look like. But what we are seeing in terms of the future view or ideal state for many of the retailers today is that they want full control through an orchestration platform or if you will, payments hub, where they can control and monitor payments experiences across different use cases, across different channels, and ultimately track how their end users are paying for their products and services. The last, probably, or one of the top three, if you will, aspects that are seen kind of as a future end state for many of the retailers, including traditional retailers and more digitally centric retailers, is the orchestration layer, right? Mm-hmm. It has become a solution to several of the problems that many of the merchants are experiencing today, whether it's them managing several payment providers across different markets and different channels, or if it's their ability to ultimately track their end consumer, across all the same channels and use cases. There isn't a perfect answer out there today. It is limited on the capabilities of the vendors or the payment providers that those retailers are using. But that appears to be one of the themes that many of the, I would say, more future-oriented retailers are looking at today.